Hi, this is Patty Writings, and we are in location today, this morning, at the Will County Children Advocacy Center here in Joliet. We are with the founder. He's our state attorney here in Will County, Jim Glasgow. Thank you, Jim, for hosting us here this morning.
Thanks for coming, Patty.
I wanted to get a little bit about what is happening here this morning and why this center is so important to what you're doing in your efforts in the community.
Well, it's been a long road. I started prosecuting in 1982, and it was clear to me in the 1980s that we were mishandling the sexual abuse of children. Because when you interview a child, you have to be very careful not to make any suggestions. When you're doing the interview, it's got to be neutral and non-suggestive, and you really need a trained forensic interviewer to do it properly. In 1987, Jim Ryan, the former Attorney General, had written the law that empowered every county to create a Child Advocacy Center. And when I got elected in 1992, that was one of my main goals. Initially, I had to deal with a burgeoning gang problem, so we dealt with that in the first year and a half. And then I really set to trying to get cooperation within the community where we could open the Child Advocacy Center without putting a further burden on the taxpayers.
Correct.
So I got St. Joe's Provena Hospital to come on board with a financial commitment, but they needed matching funds to trigger it. And then Silver Cross gave me a 3,000 square foot suite to put the center in. I had a real divine intervention where I ran into somebody from DCFS on a different topic, and I just kind of segued into what I was doing with the Child Ad Center, and she said, I might have some money for you. Next day she called with a $60,000 grant.
Oh my goodness, yes.
And so the first 3 years we ran the center without any help from the county at Silver Cross Hospital, and then we moved into a office space that was owned by the county, and we've kind of been there ever since. But the bulk of our funding comes from grants and our private fundraising through the Friends of the Child Ad Center.
Yes, because this is a 501c3
Correct.
organization, so people know that they can contribute and they will be able to.
Well, it's a combination.
Yes.
The 501c3 is the Friends, and it's really a governmental entity as far as the Child Advocacy Center.
Yes.
But again, the interviews that we do here are done in a room where with the technology we have today, we moved up from the two-way mirror, where we would have the team, hidden behind a two-way, glass partition, where if somebody coughed in the other room, the child would hear it. So now we're a good distance away in this building. There's two-way radio communication and video, and we have the video cameras properly positioned now so that we can get every angle of the interview. It's important when a jury or a judge is listening to anyone tell a story, they need to see the body movements, they need to see the facial expressions, that all factors into determining whether the person's credible or not. And these children, for the most part, are passionately credible and tragically so at the same time. Jackson had a really wonderful situation one day. He was playing with a little girl who came in with her brother, and they had both been molested, and her brother went in and gave his story, but she just couldn't bring herself to do it. And about a week later, she told her mother, I want to go back to the center and play with Jackson and tell what happened to me.
Wow.
And she did. And so that resulted in a successful prosecution of the predator who molested her. So if Jackson ever does another thing in his career, I don't think he could beat that.
That's right. And I think that's what's the whole purpose and why you're so passionate about the center, because you have seen one child, two childs, but thousands also of children that have been helped, families, because you only provide assistance to the process during the court process, but also afterwards you have assistance. So explain a little bit about that.
Well, right now we're looking at coming up on 600 interviews this year.
Right.
And that's going to be a new record, sadly. And I was just discussing with the staff that there's a new website, safesport.org, where there's a federal law that just went into effect in February of this year that's going to mandate the reporting of any suspicious behavior, especially in the area of sexual abuse, in the handling of children. So, and it applies to anyone who is basically charged with a guardian type situation as a coach or advisor. And so I think that's going to trigger an awful lot more reporting. You can also file anonymous reports on this website. Now, that anonymous report obviously isn't going to result in a criminal case necessarily, but it could be the start of an investigation, which then could lead to charges down the road. So people shouldn't be worried, there's going to be an anonymous report, but it's anonymous and it's confidential initially, and then the agency reviews it. And we had a case here recently where they barred a coach basically permanently from any coaching. And the United States Olympic Committee is the oversight, and then this agency is under them.
So there are really a lot of things in place now to help and prevent future continuing abuse, so people can report it right away. So thank you so much. But I really want to also work on the dogs, because I know that we have special guests here with us. So tell us a little bit about how the dogs really, again, make an impact. But you have how many dogs now?
We have five dogs, 4 therapy dogs. We have Jackson and Mally, who are basically, Sherry Johnson was my administrative assistant, and she owns those 2 dogs. And so I guarantee you there's not another center in the country that started their dog program the way we did, with privately owned dogs coming in, but they were trained as therapy dogs. Jackson initially was being trained to be a leader dog for the blind, but he had a penchant for squirrels. So you can imagine the calamities that could occur if he was doing that. So he's a wonderful dog, sweet and loving, but but he sees a squirrel and he's off.
Oh my goodness.
So anyway, he has been phenomenal. In 2012 is when we kicked off the Pause for Kids program here, and his sister Mally comes in every now and then as a backup. And then we have Kiwi that we received from a facility in St. Louis, along with Angus. And Angus mostly does the courtroom work, and Kiwi is a therapy dog here at the center. But she's also trained under the new Illinois law that allows a dog to sit on the stand with a child witness. The prosecutor has to bring a motion and prove to the judge that the statement that the child will give will be more thorough and more truthful that the dog is on the stand. And in so many cases that would be true. Now, the jury can't see the dog because we don't want a verdict because they like the dog. So there'll be a partition, and the dog will be sitting, at the feet of the child. The child can pet the dog and have that connection. That it has been miraculous here as far as promoting the more thorough and truthful statements during the interviews. And I was here a couple weeks ago, and a little girl came in to give her interview, and she looked terribly stressed. And about 10 minutes later, I heard some laughing, and I looked out, and she was playing with the dogs and laughing. And so she was in a different place psychologically.
That's right.
So a much better place to go in and give that interview.
Yes. Well, just on behalf of the community and also of the family that you have helped throughout the years and will continue to help, thank you so much for being so passionate and really going forward every single step to improve the center, to continue looking for ways to make it better and making a difference in our community and the families as well. So it's a pleasure and an honor to be with you. So
thank you, Patty.
It's my pleasure, sir.